Now in my previous video I was out on location shooting a long exposure nighttime scene, and in this video I'm going to Photoshop one of my favourite photographs from that shoot.
AdoramaTV presents Take and Make Great Photography with Gavin Hoey, where you'll learn how to take stunning photos and then polish them in post-production.
Hello, I'm Gavin Hoey and you're watching AdoramaTV, brought to you by Adorama, the camera store that has everything for us photographers. Now in my previous video I was out on location, well the back of my car, shooting a long exposure nighttime scene, and in this video I'm going to Photoshop one of my favourite photographs from that shoot. So let's bring an image onto the screen. Here we go. Now this one really caught my eye. I love the streaks of colour in the windscreen there, but I really like this bit here. It looks like a heart monitor. It's got your pulse racing in this picture. So this is the one we're going to Photoshop. Now it's a RAW file of course, so that means it opens up in Adobe Camera Raw, but we will take it into Photoshop and do some tweaking in there too. First thing is colour. In the original video I was talking about shooting in tungsten, which is what I did here, and yes, the white balance is perfectly correct. And just a little bit boring as a result. So although that's correct for colour, I'm going to tweak it and choose the cloudy white balance, which is for me just a little bit more interesting. Technically wrong, but that doesn't matter. I like the warmth of the scene. It may be just a touch too warm, so I'll just bring the temperature down a little bit. Now the rest of the sliders, I'll run through these really quickly. Exposure looks probably about right. Contrast, okay. Shadows and highlights, well let's do highlights. Normally with the highlights, I bring the highlights down to recover highlight detail, but it just doesn't work in this case. It doesn't add to the picture at all. In fact, I think it makes it worse. So I'm actually going to increase my highlights just to burn them out slightly, and that just adds to the feeling of movement and speed. Shadows, well in the other video I went through the whole thing of illuminating the inside of the car and in some of the photographs. Of course this isn't one of the ones where I illuminated it, it's one of the earlier ones. So we're going to illuminate the inside of the car by using the shadows slider. Whites and blacks are okay, but clarity. Well, you know me, I do like a bit of clarity in my shots. So I'm going to take the clarity and, well, increase it, but not too much. That's way too much. This one just needs a little bit of clarity just to give it a little bit of bite and a little bit of contrast. That leaves vibrance and saturation. Well, I do like a bit of colour, so let's really push the vibrance, and this picture will really take that strong, vibrant colour and maybe just a bit of saturation in there too. Now it is looking a little bit too yellow now I've added that extra vibrance, so I will just pull the temperature back a tiny little bit more. Okay, so I'm happy with that as a setup. It all looks really good. The top bit still looks a little bit dark. Now there's a heavy tinted glass sunroof and obviously no illumination underneath here, and that is affecting the image and the balance of the picture. But I can correct that by using the graduated filter. With the graduated filter, I'm just going to set it to an extra 1 stop of exposure and just drag a little grey grad filter down. And you can see how that actually illuminates it. It gives a bit more brightness in the scene. Don't forget to check out Adorama's latest contest and your chance to win amazing prizes. Now with a bit of extra highlight and shadow detail and that graduated filter, I'm expecting there to be some noise in this image. Let's go and have a look. Yeah, there is a bit of noise in this picture. So to correct that, I'll jump over to the Detail tab and go to Noise Reduction. Luminance Noise Reduction is the one you want to choose, and that will help just to reduce the noise. There's also a bit of colour noise in there as well, so we'll just boost the colour noise reduction too. Now I don't want to go too far with the luminance noise reduction because it will go all plasticky, and even though my car is all plasticky, that's really not the look I'm going for. We want to have just a little bit of detail in there, not as much as there was originally, but just a little bit of noise is fine. Okay, so that's the picture done. Let's open up the image and we'll jump into Photoshop, because there's a couple of things in Photoshop we can do much easier than doing in RAW, and it's really removal jobs. We need to remove a couple of things that I had to have on the car for legal reasons. In the case of the tax disc, I can't drive on a public road without the tax disc on, so that's going to come out in Photoshop. And also this little safety warning is printed on the car. I can't remove that, so we'll do that in Photoshop. And I'm going to do it by using the patch tool. Patch tool is great when you need a bigger job like this to correct. you just draw around the object and drag it over to the other side, and it'll patch it across. And this is why I like the patch tool, because you can choose where you're going to take from and add to. Similarly with the tax disc here, I can just draw around that, trying to go reasonably neatly down the other side, which is a bit of a squeeze, but there we go. And then I can drag this across, and you can see how this is really useful, because I can line up that light streak just like that and patch it in. So there we go, that's cleaned up my image and my picture is now complete. Now if you want to find out more about long exposure techniques, check out the Adorama Learning Centre, where there's lots of information on how to do long exposure in a variety of different ways. However, if you want to get more videos from me and the rest of the team here on Adorama TV, then you've got to click on the subscribe button. I'm Gavin Hoey, thanks for watching.
Great looking prints at low cost? Be sure to visit our easy to use online printing service. Adorama Pix has professionals who treat your images with the utmost care that you can count on. For a quick turnaround on photos, cards, or albums, use AdoramaPix.com.